firing up those grills, we're chilling the beer, we're getting ready for a big 3-day weekend, but first, a lot of MLS action to get to. Jonah Friedman here with armchair analyst Matt Doyle. It's time for Last Call. Matt, let's start counting down the 5 biggest storylines heading into the weekend. We'll start with number 5, DC United hosting New England Revolution.
Yeah, this is turning into a clash between two of the hotter teams in the Eastern Conference. DC, they're on a tear. They've won 3 of 4. Dwayne DiVersario playing probably the best soccer of anybody in the league right now. And with 2 more goals this weekend, he'd become just the 7th player ever to hit 100 in MLS. And Hamdi Salihi, the DP striker, starting to show his wares. He has 4 goals in 5 games. DC just finding ways to get it done. New England, they're playing great soccer. Their defense is a little suspect, so they're not getting the wins that they should, but they're still right in the thick of the playoff mix. It should be a pretty tight game. It should be a pretty fun game to watch. These are 2 teams that like to keep it on the ground, like to move around, like to combine. It's going to be good soccer.
You catch that one on Saturday at 7:30 p.m. Eastern on MLS Live.
Number 4 on our list, Portland Timbers host Vancouver Whitecaps in a Cascadia clash.
Yeah, and it might be the second Cascadia clash of the year, but it's also an interesting match between last year's 2 expansion teams, and really they've kind of flip-flopped over the past season. Portland are now the team that's kind of struggling, trying to find their feet. Vancouver look hot. This is going to be an interesting one because Vancouver, as we said, they're going to be gutted coming into Jeld-Wen Field after narrowly missing out on the Canadian Championship at midweek in Toronto. They're desperately looking for a result. They haven't won in 2 straight games. They're starting to slip a little bit in that Western Conference, and this is not the time to feel sorry for themselves. Portland, on the other hand, starting to look a little better. They've gotten results in their last 3 games. They got a good win over Chicago last weekend, but now is also the time for them to make their stand. They beat Vancouver in both of these meetings last year, and the tables seem to have turned, so this is going to be a good one.
That'll be Saturday, 10 p.m. Eastern on TSN and RDS2 in Canada, MLS Live in the U.S.
Number 3, they're still winless, but they are the Canadian champions. Toronto FC hosting the Philadelphia Union.
Red hot Toronto. Congratulations to them. They got a huge win midweek, and hopefully for their fans, this will be what they need to turn their season around. It helps that they're getting a visit from the punchless Philadelphia Union. And not only are they punchless, but they're going to be without their best offensive weapon this year, midfielder Gabriel Gomez. Gomez is away on national team duty with Panama, so Peter Nowak is going to have to change and rearrange that midfield yet again. Could be a 5-man midfield, could be a 6-man midfield, could be a 4-6-0 lineup. You never know with Peter. Up north, we know it's going to be a 4-3-3. We know that they're healthy. We know that they're happy for the first time in a long time. And we know they probably have some confidence. This looks like as good a bet as any for Toronto to pick up their first points of the season.
You can catch that one on Saturday at 4:30 p.m. Eastern on MLS Live.
Number 2 on our list, Sporting Kansas City hosts the San Jose Earthquakes.
Yeah, the number 1 in the league, San Jose Earthquakes, who seem to pull results out of a hat every single week at the last minute. San Jose are going to be without their 2 top scoring threats, though. Chris Wondolowski away on national team duty. Steven Lenhart sitting this one out with yellow card accumulation. The next top scorer on San Jose at this point is Alan Gordon, who has yet to play more than a half all season, but we all know what he can do when he gets the ball in the late stages of the game. Sporting Kansas City still winless in their last 4. They got the draw last weekend against Colorado, but they're starting to slide in the standings a little bit. They've got 2 teams ahead of them. They really need to pick up a result sooner rather than later, and it's going to be tough against the Earthquakes, but the Earthquakes are going to be interesting to see how they're going to get those goals.
Sunday, 4:30 p.m. Eastern on NBC Sports Network, and there's a live chat on MLSsoccer.com.
Number 1 on our list, it's MLS Cup 2011 rematch between Houston Dynamo and the LA Galaxy.
Yeah, it doesn't really feel like an MLS Cup rematch, does it? LA, their struggles have been well documented this year. On top of that, they'll be without Robbie Keane and Landon Donovan. Maybe that's a good thing. Maybe that'll fire them up. They played pretty well for about 60 minutes midweek against San Jose before coming apart at the end. Houston, the big question is what they'll do without Jeff Cameron in that central defense. He provides all of their athleticism. He does the primary work in terms of distribution, and he gets them out of so many jams because he's so good with the ball and so good at reading the game. So 2 teams that are coming off MLS Cup final appearances and look nothing like they did 6 months ago. It's a real toss-up.
And that one kicks off the weekend on Saturday at 2:30 p.m. Eastern on the NBC Sports Network, and there's a live chat on MLSsoccer.com. Don't forget the U.S. national team also plays Scotland on Saturday at 8 o'clock p.m. Eastern Time, also on the NBC Sports Network, and a live chat. That is the first of 5 games for the national team, including their debut in 2014 World Cup qualifying. That'll do it for us. Make sure you check back on the site all weekend for these games and all the rest of the action. We'll check back with you next week.